Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtubraheshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 6, the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. Text 16 onwards. Apane Purusha Vishvera Nimittakara Advaita Rupe Upadan Narayan. Lord Vishnu himself is the efficient nimitta cause of the material world, and Narayan in the form of Sri Advaita is the material cause or upadan kara. Nimittanshe kare tenu maya teikshan upadan advait karen brahmanda srijan. Lord Vishnu in his efficient aspect glances over the material energy, and Sri Advaita as a material cause creates the material world. Yadyapi Sankhya Mane Pradhana Kara Jada Haite Kabhu Nahe Jagata Srijan. Although the Sankhya philosophy accepts that the material ingredients are the cause, the creation of the world never arises from dead matter, as Prabhupada we studied yesterday and day before also. Life does not come from matter. Matter comes from life. Nij Srishti Shakti Prabhu Sanchare Pradhane Ishwarera Shaktya Behayeta Nirmane. The Lord infuses the material ingredients with his own creative potency. Then by the power of the Lord, creation takes place. Advaita Rupe Kare Shakti Sanchara Nateva Advaita Hayan Mukhya Kara. In the form of Advaita, he infuses the material ingredients with creative energy. He infuses the material ingredients with creative energy. Therefore, Advaita is the original cause of creation. Although it's non-different from Mahavishnu, but this is how he takes care of the creation. Advaita Acharya Koti Brahmanera Karata Ara Eka Eka Murte Brahmanera Bharata. Sri Advaita Acharya is the creator of millions and millions of universes, and by his expansions as Garbho Dakshay Vishnu, he maintains each and every universe. Sai Narayanera Mukhya Anga Advaita Anga Shabde Anshakari Kahe Bhagavata. Shri Advaita is the principal limb or Anga of Narayan. Srimad Bhagavatam speaks of limb or Anga as a plenary portion, Ansha, of the Lord. Narayanastvam nahi sarvadehinam atmasi adhi shakhila loka sakshi Narayanavangam nar bhu jalayanat tachapi satyam na tavaiva maya. O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not therefore my father, Narayan? Narayan refers to one whose abode is in water, born from Nar, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And that Narayan is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They're absolute and are not creations of Maya. So this is prayer of Lord Brahma to Krishna after the Brahm Vimohan Lila. Ishwarera Anga Ansha Chidananda Maya Maya Rasambandha Nahi Shlokakaya. This verse describes that the limbs and plenary portions of the Lord are all spiritual. They have no relationship with the material energy. Anshana kaya kene kahatare anga, ansha haite anga yate haye antaranga. Why has Sri Advaita been called a limb and not a part? The reason is that limb implies greater intimate. So question is why he is a limb and not part of the Lord. So limb implies greater intimate. Limb means like my hand is my limb of this body. So it's connected with the body. Mahavishnu Ansha Advaita Gunadham Ishwarya Bhedate Advaita Purnanam. Shri Advaita was a reservoir of virtues, is the main limb of Mahavishnu. His full name is Advaita, for he is identical in all respects with that Lord. Udve yache kaila sarva vishvera sritan, avatari kaila eve bhakti pravartan. As he had formerly created all the universes, now he descended to introduce the path of bhakti. Jivanistarila Krishna Bhakti Karidan Gita Bhagavate Kaila Bhakti Vyakyan. He delivered all living beings by offering the gift of Krishna Bhakti. He explained the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in the light of devotional service. Although Sri Advaita Prabhu is an incarnation of Vishnu for the welfare of the conditioned souls, he manifested himself as a servitor of the Supreme Personality of God. And throughout all his activities, he showed himself to be an eternal servitor. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda also manifested the same principles, although they also belong to the category of Vishnu. If Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Advaita Prabhu had exhibited the all-powerful Vishnu potencies within this material world, people would have become greater impersonalists, monists, and self-worshippers than they had already been under the spell of this age. They had become greater impersonalists. Well, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda, if they had showed the Vishnu potencies, I don't know how people would have become greater impersonalists, monists, or self-worshippers. I have to find that out. Therefore, the personality of Godhead and his different incarnations and forms played the parts of devotees to instruct the conditioned souls how to approach the transcendental stage of devotional service. Advaita Acharya especially intended to teach the conditioned souls about devotional service. The word Acharya means teacher. The special function of such a teacher is to make people Krishna conscious. A bona fide teacher following in the footsteps of Advaita Acharya has no other business than to spread the principles of Krishna consciousness all over the world. The real qualification of an Acharya is that he presents himself as a servant of the Supreme. Such a bona fide Acharya can never support the demonic activities of atheistic men who present themselves as God. It is therefore main business of an Acharya to defy such impostors, posing as God before the innocent public. So Acharya never says he is God, and Acharya presents everybody who's a real God, and he tells everybody who's an impostor. There are so many people calling themselves as God, or their followers call them God. I guess that's why the Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita, they didn't appear as, or they didn't show their Vishnu potencies. Because people would have said, okay, they can show and we can also show our potencies. We don't have any potency. What potency do we have? Krishna showed his potencies from the very beginning. 7 years old, he lifted whole Govardhan hill for 7 days. And not on his hand, even just the tip of his pinky finger of his left hand. And still people claim that they are God. Bhakti upadesha vinu tar nahi karya ateva nama haila advaita acharya. Since he has no other occupation than to teach devotional service, his name is Advaita Acharya. Vaishnavera Guru Teno Jagatera Arya Dui Nama Milane Haila Advaita Acharya. He is a spiritual master of all devotees and is the most revered personality in the world. By a combination of these two names, his name is Advaita Acharya. Shri Advaita Acharya is a prime spiritual master of the Vaishnavas and is worshipable by all Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas must follow in the footsteps of Advaita Acharya, for by so doing one can actually engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Kamala Nayanera Tenu Yate Anga Ansha Kamalaksha Kari Dhare Namavatansha. Since he is a limb or part of the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, he also bears the name Kamalaksha. Actually, that was the name first given to him by his parents. When he was born, he was called Kamalaksha. Yeah, lotus-eyed. Ishvara Sarupya Paya Parishadagana Chaturbhuja Pitavas Yaichenarayan. His associates have the same bodily features as the Lord. They all have 4 arms and are dressed in yellow garments like Narayan. So his means Lord Vishnu's. Advaita Acharya Ishwarera Anshavarya Tara Tattva Nama Guna Sakali Acharya. Shri Advaita Acharya is the principal limb of the Supreme Lord. His truths, names, and attributes are all wonderful. And they are all divine, actually. Because the pastime will come later on, and that follower or that associate, that servant, he didn't understand Advaita Acharya's position. So he got really chastised for that. We'll come to that pastime. Yahara tulasi jale, yahara hunkare, swagana sahite chatanera avatare. He worshipped Krishna with tulsi leaves and water of the Ganges and called for him in a loud voice. Thus Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on earth, accompanied by his personal associates. Yara dwara Kaila Prabhu Kirtana Prachara, Yara dwara Kaila Prabhu Jagata Nistara. It's through him, Advaita Acharya, that Lord Chaitanya spread the Sankirtan movement, and through him that he delivered the world. And in fact, here it is said, he worshipped Krishna with tulsi leaves and water of the Ganges, and he actually worshipped Shaligram Shila, and asked Krishna to appear to take care of the people in Kali Yuga, especially in Navadvip. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared because of Advaita Acharya's prayers. And when Mahaprabhu was going to unmanifest his pastimes, it also happened through Advaita Acharya, actually. Advaita Acharya sent him a letter from Navadvip when Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri. And he sent the letter with very kind of a poem, quartet, 4 lines, but in a very confidential manner. Only Mahaprabhu understood the meaning of those lines. And then he said, now it's time for me to go back. Acharya Gosair Guna Mahima Par Jiva Kita Kothai Pai Bekatar Par. The glory and attributes of Advaita Acharya are unlimited. How can the insignificant living entities fathom them? Acharya Gosai Cheta Nera Mukhya Anga Ara Eka Anga Tara Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Acharya is the principal limb of Lord Chaitanya. Another limb of the Lord is Nityananda Prabhu. Prabhu Rupanga Shri Vasadi Bhakta Gana Hasta Mukha Netra Anga Chakradi Astra Sam. The devotees headed by Srivas are his smaller limbs. They're like his hands, face, and eyes, and his disc and other weapons. Ei sab laya Chaitanya Prabhur Vihara. Ei sab laya Karen Vanchita Prachara. With all of them, Lord Chaitanya performed his pastimes, and with them he spread his mission. Madhendra Puri Reino Shishai Gyane Acharya Gosair Prabhu Guru Karimani. Thinking he, Sri Advaita Acharya, is a disciple of Sri Madhendra Puri, Lord Chaitanya obeys him, respecting him as a spiritual master. Shri Madhendra Puri is one of the acharyas in the disciplic succession from Madhvacharya. Madhendra Puri had two principal disciples, Ishwar Puri and Shri Advaita Prabhu. Therefore, the Gaudiya Vaishya Sampradaya is a disciplic succession from Madhvacharya. This fact has been accepted in the authorized books known as Gaur Gunadesh Deepika and Prameya Ratnavali, as well as by Gopal Guru Goswami. The Gaur Gunadesh Deepika clearly states the disciplic succession of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas as follows. Lord Brahma is a direct disciple of Vishnu, the Lord of the spiritual sky. His disciple is Narad. Narad's disciple is Vyas. And Vyas's disciples are Shukdev Goswami and Madhvacharya. Padmanabhacharya is a disciple of Madhvacharya. Narhari is a disciple of Padmanabhacharya. Madhava is a disciple of Narhari. And Akshobhya is direct disciple of Madhava. And Jayatirtha is a disciple of Akshobhya. Jayatirtha's disciple is Jnana Sindhu. And his disciple is Mahanidhi. Vidyanidhi is a disciple of Mahanidhi. And Rajendra is a disciple of Vidyanidhi. Jayadharma is a disciple of Rajendra. Purushottam is disciple of Jayadharma. Shriman Lakshmipati is disciple of Vyasatirtha, who is a disciple of Purushottam. And Madhendra Puri is disciple of Lakshmipati. So there is a disciplic succession. And this is also given in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita by Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Lokika Lilate Dharma Maryada Rakshan. Stuti Bhaktya Karen Tara Charana Varna. To maintain the proper etiquette for the principles of religion, Lord Chaitanya bows down at the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Acharya with reverential prayers and devotion. Chaitanya Gosai ke Acharya kare Prabhu Jnana, apna ke karen tar dasa viman. Sri Advaita Acharya, however, considers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his master, and he thinks of himself as a servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because Advaita Acharya knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's position as Krishna himself. So earlier we studied Ekila Ishvara Krishna or Sabhratya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He is not an incarnation. He is Krishna himself. The Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu of Sri Rupa Goswami explains a super excellent quality of devotion service as follows. Brahmanando bhave desha cheta pararda guni krita naiti bhakti sukham bodhe parmanu tulamapi. If multiplied billions of times, the transcendental pleasure derived from impersonal Brahman realization still could not compare to even an atomic portion, the ocean of bhakti or transcendental service. So how powerful bhakti is and how much pleasure it can give. Similarly, Bhavartha Deepika states, Tvat Kathamrita Patho do Viharanto Mahamuda Kurvanti Kritina Kechit Chaturvaragam Trinopamam. For those who take pleasure in the transcendental topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the four progressive realizations of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, all combined together, cannot compare any more than a straw could to the happiness derived from hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord. Wow. So just hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord, this is how powerful it is. The Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, just like a straw in front of that. Those who engage in the transcendental service of the lotus feet of Krishna, being relieved of all material enjoyment, have no attraction to the topics of impersonal monism. In the Padma Purana, in connection with the glorification of the month of Kartik, it is stated that devotees pray, Varam Deva Moksham na Moksha Vadimma na Chanyam Pranayam Varesha Napi. Dear Lord, always remembering your childhood pastimes at Vrindavan is better for us than aspiring to merge into the impersonal Brahman. During your childhood pastimes, you liberated the two sons of Kubera and made them great devotees of your Lordship. Similarly, I wish that instead of giving me liberation, you may award me such devotion unto you. So further Prabhupada says, in Hai Shri Shya Shri Narayana Vyuhustava, in the chapter called Narayan Stotra, it is stated, Na dharmam kamam artham va moksham va varadeshvara prarthe tava padabje dasyam eva abhi kamaye. My dear Lord, I do not wish to become a man of religion or a master of economic development or sense gratification. Nor do I wish for liberation, although I can have all these from you, the supreme bestower of benedictions. I do not pray for any of these. I simply pray that I may always be engaged as a servant of your lotus feet. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll read further. Devotees don't even pray that, let me be servant of your lotus feet. They say, let me just be able to serve your devotees. Das, das, and das. Narasimha Dev offered Prahlad Maharaj all kinds of benedictions, but Prahlad Maharaj did not accept any of them, for he simply wanted to engage in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, a pure devotee wishes to be blessed like Maharaj Prahlad by being thus endowed with devotional service. Devotees also offer their respects to Hanuman, who always remained a servant of Lord Ram. The great devotee Hanuman prayed, Bhavabandha chidde tasye sprihayami na muktaye. Bhavan prabhur aham das iti yatra vilupyate. I do not wish to take liberation or to merge in Brahman effulgence, where the conception of being a servant of Lord is completely lost. So he is saying, I always want to remain a servant of your lotus feet. Similarly, in the Narad Pancharatra, it is stated, Dharmartha kama moksheshu na ichha mam kadachana tutpada pankajasya adho jivitam diyatam mama. I don't want any of the four desirable stations, Dharmartha kama moksha. I simply want to engage as a servant of the lotus feet of the Lord. King Kulashekhar, in his very, very famous book, Mukunda Mala Stotra, prays, Naham vande tav charanayor dvandvam advandvam hetu, kumbhi pakam gurum api hare narakam na penutam, na panetum, ramya rama mridu tanu lata nandane na virantum, bhave bhave hridaya bhavane, bhaveyam bhavantam. My Lord, I do not worship you to be liberated from this material entanglement, nor do I worship to save myself from the hellish condition of material existence, nor do I even pray for a beautiful wife to enjoy in a nice garden. I wish only that I may always be in full ecstasy with the pleasure of serving your Lordship. In Srimad Bhagavatam also, there are many instances in third and fourth cantos in which devotees pray to the Lord simply to be engaged in his service and nothing else. Why? Because this is the power of devotional service, and this is how blissful devotional service is. Sei abhiman sukhe apana pasare Krishna das ho jive upadeshakare. He forgets himself in the joy of that conception and teaches all living entities. You are servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The transcendental devotional service of the Supreme Lord, Godhead, is so ecstatic that even the Lord himself plays the part of a devotee. Forgetting himself to be the Supreme, he personally teaches the whole world how to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is bhakti. Krishna Das Abhimani je Ananda Sindhu, Koti Brahma Sukha Nahe Tar Ek Bindu. The conception of servitude to Shri Krishna generates such an ocean of joy in the soul that even the joy of oneness with the Absolute, if multiplied 10 million times, could not compare to a drop of it. Joy of oneness with the Absolute, which is moksha. Everybody talks about moksha. Bhakti, I mean, the moksha multiplied 10 million times cannot compare to a drop of ocean of joy one experiences when serving Krishna. Moye Chaitanya Das Ara Nityananda Das Bhav Sama Nahi Anyatra Ananda. He says, Nityananda and I are servants of Lord Chaitanya. Nowhere else is there such joy as that which is tasted in this emotion of servitude. So much of ecstasy of Advaita Acharya is being described here. I wish we can get even one drop of that ecstasy. Anyways, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.